Hello, I'm Holden Smith. I'm one of your global ambassadors, and we're here today with
Ayana.
Hi, Ayana. We're here to talk about studying away, and they did their trip in Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm Holden. I'm your global ambassador. I hope you know me by already now. If you'd like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Sure. My name is Ayana Freeman. I was a participant on the the spring semester of 2019 Trinidad and Tobago Study Away program. Yeah.
I guess one of the starting questions that I always like to ask when I do these is, why did you pick the program that you decided to go on?
Cool. So I chose to study away in Trinidad and Tobago because I was really intrigued by what it might be like to live in a place where the majority of the people there look like me. I also wanted to learn more about the biodiversity and nature in a Caribbean country. And I was also intrigued by the culture and the history, of course, with Carnival and all the celebrations and festivals that they have. So yeah, it was just something new that I had never done before, but I knew when I came to PLU, I definitely wanted to study away.
That's amazing, because all of the questions I have are relating to almost exactly what you just said. So look at that. We're doing great already. Okay. So you said you did a semester-long program. Do you think you had enough time to immerse yourself into is it Trinidadian?
Trinbagonian, yeah.
Trinbagonian?
Mm-hmm.
Trinbagonian culture while you had your time there? Because I know Carnival is a huge part of it, which we'll definitely get to, but just kind of general, do you think you had enough time to really dive into the culture there, or is there just so much?
I really feel like I'm grateful for having been there for 4.5 months, but I definitely think that even a year-long program would have been sufficient to really immerse myself in all of the festivals that they have. I was able to experience Carnival and Holi/Pagua and the Baptist Liberation Day and a number of other festivals and celebrations, but other celebrations that take place during the fall and winter, like Christmas, they play parang music, and in the fall they have Diwali, which is an Indian celebration. I feel like that would have been fun to experience too. But to answer your question, it was enough to immerse myself in the culture, to get to know people, to just have fun and really know what it's like to be a Trinbagonian living in Trinidad and Tobago. So yeah, grateful for that.
So you mentioned that you got to actually be a part of a couple of the larger holidays during your time there. So I am aware of Carnival, but I don't know about the other ones. Would you like to talk about the other holidays or not holidays, but festivals and holidays that you got to be a part of?
Yes, of course. So let's see so there is Holi/Pagua, and that is an Indian celebration that celebrates the coming of spring and new life. And so what we did, we attended a celebration where the students in my group all dressed up in white, from head to toe in white, and when we went into this closed off area, there were all these people throwing powdered color and color dissolved in water in bottles. And what our site director informed us of doing is just like, go have fun, don't go crazy, but just go and experience this and have fun. And so what we did, she had all these plastic bags full of colored powder, ranging from just every color imaginable, like red, purple, gold, green, blue, turquoise. So we each grabbed a bag and we tore it open, and we just grabbed handfuls of these powder or these water bottles filled with colored ink, and we just started throwing them on people. I mean, politely, of course, not chucking it at them, but just dousing them in this powder and this ink and other people would come and do the same to us. It's like you stood out so much at the beginning because you were covered in just your white clothing, and everyone else that was there was covered in red and yellow and orange, all these different colors. So the purpose was to make you as colorful at the end of the celebration as you could. And there were people performing up on stage, so there was music. There were on the sides these, I don't even know what you would call them. I don't know if we have something like that in the States, but basically, just these machines that sprayed purple dye into the air, and you would just get rained on by this purple liquid. So yeah, it was a whole lot of fun, and just, yeah, I still have pictures to that day, so it was amazing.
That sounds like a really wonderful and culturally enriching experience. You mentioned that there's a couple Indian holidays in Trinidad and Tobago, or in Trinidad, because that's where you spend most of your time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a strong Indian connection in Trinidad? Because I was unaware of this.
Yeah, so historically, I guess I should clear something up. So Trinidad and Tobago are two separate islands. There's Trinidad, the bigger one, and Tobago off the coast. But both of them form a dual republic. So when you mention Trinidad and Tobago, you're talking about those two countries. Historically, there is a big Indian presence in Trinidad to this day because of the number of Indian people who immigrated to Trinidad for indentured servitude. Yeah, indentured servitude. And basically this was initiated by the British who ruled Trinidad during that time period. To go back, I guess, a little bit further, after the emancipation of the enslaved African peoples on the island of Trinidad, the British had to come up with some sort of system to keep the sugarcane industry going. And so they had, it was kind of, I guess, reflecting on it, kind of like a trial and error sort of thing, because they had Portuguese people come in, that didn't work. They had Chinese people come in, that didn't work. Just so all these different ethnic groups come in and try to maintain the livelihood of this industry. And so when the people from India came to Trinidad, they realized that this would work, so they kept having more and more people come in and serve as part of this indentured servitude. And currently, the percentage of Indian people living in Trinidad today is slightly higher than that of people of African descent. But yeah, with that, immigrating from India to Trinidad, they brought their culture and their food and their celebrations. So that's why there's a number of Indian festivals in Trinidad.
With a lot of other programs, there's a language aspect in it that you saw, like for when I went to Aix-en-Provence, I knew zero French and I had to go and learn French. But in Trinidad and Tobago, they're both predominantly English-speaking countries. So was that a big influence on your decision to go there? Was because you knew the common language, and I feel like that's actually a pretty large important factor. So
yeah, that is pretty important. So one thing that I definitely considered when deciding to go to Trinidad and Tobago was the language aspect. But during our orientation, we were told that even though the official language is English, the accent of Trinidad was, I don't know, just heavily permeated the English language. So they would have certain phrases, certain ways of saying things that the English speaker, especially an American Washingtonian English speaker, might not understand right away or ever. I guess a story that I have about that. Let's see, a specific story. Okay, so in some of the first few days that we were going, or just traveling around Trinidad and Tobago, kind of getting oriented to where we were going to stay for the next few months, we went over to a restaurant that served chicken. And one of my, I guess, group mates, you could say, went to the front of the counter and made an order. And for the life of my group mate, she could just not understand what they were saying. And so I stepped in, and I didn't really know what the person was saying, but I had, I guess, a better understanding than she did. I don't know, some kind of way. And basically it was kind of a moment of translation, because the cashier person was asking my group mate if she wanted a leg or a thigh, a piece of chicken. And so I relayed this information to her, and then it just made total sense after that. But right off the bat, it's like no one really knew what this cashier was saying. So yeah, it's English, but it's heavily accented Trinidadian within the Caribbean region English.
Okay, okay. The Trinidad and Tobago program is a little bit different, where there's actually the J-term course involved beforehand. So you said you went in the fall, correct?
I actually went J-term and then the spring semester.
Sorry, I was listening earlier.
It's okay.
So could you tell a little bit about the J-term course in the beginning, because that's a little different and it makes the program a little bit longer because of it. So
right. So the main focus of the J-term program was really focused on the musical aspect of Trinbangonian culture, and I emphasize the culture of Trinbangonian because during our time in January, we actually went over to Tobago and we stayed, I would say maybe 5 days, I think. So 5 days over in Tobago. And while we were there, we had a professor come over from PLU and talk to us about the history of music in this region of the world. We talked about tambu bamboo, which was a form of resistance against the colonial rules that dictated that African peoples could not practice drumming. They couldn't make drums, they couldn't play drums. Drums were just not allowed during that time period. And so instead of making drums, they took the bamboo that was present on the island and they cut those and used them as a percussion instrument. So that's just a tidbit about tambu bamboo. And then he told us about calypso music, the history of calypso artists, what like the different subgenres of calypso were, kind of the political purpose of calypso. And then we also later on in the semester got to see calypso artists performing. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then moving forward, talking about the influences that people of Indian descent had on the musical culture of Trinidad and Tobago, one of whom, his name, Mungo Patazar, yes, that's his name. So he was born in Trinidad. He is of Indian descent. He plays the sitar and a number of other instruments that I can't remember right now. But he has just been, no pun intended, instrumental.
That's a good one. That's funny.
Instrumental in just permeating Trinidad musical culture with Indian influence. He made a song that combined the sitar music of India with the steel pan music of Trinidad, which I should mention, steel pan was invented in Trinidad. There's some misconceptions about where exactly the steel pan came from, but it's definitely Trinidadian in origin. So he made a song combining those two instruments, and I just thought it was really cool to have that musical blend. So yeah, throughout that whole time in J-term, it's just talking about music and experiencing music, and again, getting more acquainted with your first month in being in a new place.
Okay. I wasn't aware of what the early J-term course actually was. So that's nice to know that you actually got kind of a different experience for the first month. What courses were you taking in Trinidad, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So in addition to that music course I took in J-term, during the spring semester I was enrolled in courses through PLU, so that was like history and culture of Trinidad and Tobago. That also includes what else? Like a living and learning aspect, and that's where you do a volunteer project or a community service project, I would say, within Trinidad and Tobago. My project was going to the Cyril Ross Home for HIV positive children. And so being there, my role was just to kind of help out with the functioning, to an extent, help out in the functioning of the program, to play with the children ranging from, I think, 3 years old to 17 years old, helping them with their homework, just really spending time and hanging out with them and being involved in whatever it is they do on a daily basis. And then what else? So the classes. I also took a sociology class while I was at the University of West Indies. And that was really eye-opening because it showed me, it was supplemental to the history and culture course that I was taking. Of course, sociology is more so the study of society, but you have a better understanding of society if you have the historical aspect first. So something that really stood out to me regarding the effects of globalization in Trinidad and Tobago, I discovered that there are more KFC restaurants in this little island of Trinidad than there are in all of Washington State.
Yeah. Remember the exact numbers?
Let's see, exact numbers of restaurants. I really don't know. I remember looking it up, but yeah, I'm just really not sure. That's just to say that I guess fried chicken is just really popular there, and more so it's changing the recipes of how they fry the chicken and the spices they put in to be more cultural and local to Trinidad and Tobago culture.
Okay. Yeah. How was it to be a part of a different university, and that I would assume functions very differently than POU or our home university?
Yeah. So University of West Indies actually has a number of campuses throughout the Caribbean. The one that we attended in Trinidad was located in a town called, I always mess up this pronunciation, St. Augustine. And that university was different from PLU because they had restaurants on their campus. KFC, to name one. They had a library that was, I don't know, it was just so much bigger than our current library. I mean, I like our library because it's not that big, it's more cozy. But this one was just so much bigger and had so many more rules. Like, you couldn't bring in your water bottles, for fear that they would mess up the electrical equipment or the books, just in case an accident were to happen. What else about UB? They also sold a food called Doubles on campus. And Doubles, I mean, I could talk all day about the Trinidad and Tobago food, but I won't. So what Doubles is, it's, some people might, I've heard it being referred as like a sandwich, but it's not a sandwich. It's definitely not a sandwich because this food has 2 pieces of what are called bara, which is kind of like a flat bread that kind of has like a doughy consistency. Just really soft and really flexible doughy consistency. And then on top of that, they put chana, which is chickpeas or garbanzo beans. Put that on there, and you might have like mango or tamarind sauce to go with it, which is like makes it sweet. And then at some double stands, they might put cucumber in it. They might put what they call pepper sauce, which is extremely spicy. I'm not I'm not crazy about spicy, so I didn't have mine on there.
A little hot.
Yeah, a little bit spicy. But yeah, they just sold those on campus, and after class, you might go and get one. You can eat doubles like for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, anytime. What else?